Is just having a journey map enough? Of course not. In this clip, hear how customer teams are sharing and collaborating on journey maps. Gain insights from leaders at US Bank and Microsoft in this Omnichannel Roundtable highlight.
John Henke, can you talk a little bit about how your team works with audience segmentation, personas, journey mapping?
Sure. Well, I mean, journey mapping it's really core to what we're doing right now. We're organized in agile teams. We in journey teams. I think most, if not all, journey teams have a journey map that they use as kind of the backbone of their planning, backlog planning and deciding what they're going to do. And yeah, I think people have been more and more accepting of the journey map and how important it can be. I think one of the things that's really interesting about using journey maps at the bank, there are certain products, and Julie, you probably know this. I mean, you look at mortgage or home buying. That's kind of like the quintessential journey of somebody, like from all the way from when they're living in an apartment, just maybe starting to think about buying a house, all the way through the whole saving and consideration. And I mean, there's just so much there. It's so rich to the home buying itself. And then when you get beyond that, as kind of the homeowner's journey, I guess you'd call it, there's just, if you can map that experience out, it just really uncovers a lot of opportunities that people haven't thought of before. It really points out the cross-channel nature of a lot of these journeys. When you're buying a house or refinancing your house, you might start an online application, but get halfway through it and decide, hey, I need to call somebody. I need to talk to somebody. I'm not getting the answers I need, or there's a lot of back and forth there. And I think,
are your teams sharing a map, like a physical map? Do they all have like Alex was talking about, a moments that matter matrix? That is, it sounds like there's an organizational standard that teams share this, right?
Yeah.
Artifact. Is there a shared artifact, or is it within individual? Like, is it the mortgage team have a journey map and the online banking team have another one?
Yeah, I think they're shared, but they're specific to a particular customer set or customer journey. So yeah, the mortgage team, which we call home, or homeowner, they have a journey map that's that they use. We have our customer experience group within US Bank puts together journey maps for organizations that want them, gets customers to come in and help, gets the business line in. Everybody, you can take, a week usually to do something like that really well. But yeah, they're specific, they're tied to specific customer journeys. So yeah, they're not, all encompassing necessarily, because there's just so many different ways people can relate to a bank.
I think this is significant, though. Both you and Alex have talked about a specific organizational function responsible for journey management, right? And that didn't exist, I don't know about 4, 5, 6 years ago. That seems to be a new organization function evolving in the marketplace. And I'm really curious, Jonathan Foster, do teams at Microsoft share journeys? Does your team have its own set of journey maps and measures, or are those being shared among lots of groups at Microsoft?
The way that it's transitioned for us is now we're putting the onus on the individual writer on my team that they own that journey. They own it from the beginning, and that could be during the research phase of trying to understand what the customer needs in any given moment, all the way to support on the back end when they can't figure out how to do something, then they're engaging with the user there. Along the way, there's measures. We're measuring how effectively we're doing that through either tracking behavior if we can. A lot of times that's very difficult, or through just experimentation, which is a huge way to measure UX experiences. What's interesting is the content and design teams at a place like Microsoft, and I'm sure it's true in our competitors, from the product side tend to be kind of the cohesive overview of that journey, because it's very understandable that companies, large companies that have huge teams building out these experiences are going to become siloed. It's really hard not to be. And there's a huge effort at Microsoft to break those silos down. But we because we are really focused, if you're going to be customer centric, you cannot not pursue journeys. You can't not pursue these longer term scenarios, because really what we want to do in all these instances is maintain a relationship with our customer over time. So that engagement piece is huge. And how do we retain that? And that's why we think that we can be more effective if we're mapping to this kind of journey, this end-to-end, we call it end-to-end user journey.
Yeah, wonderful. That the ambition of an end-to-end journey in a lot of siloed teams that have evolved over decades is challenging. How do you get everybody to start mapping and sharing an understanding of an end-to-end journey? And I think there's just, it's one thing to create a comprehensive view. It's another thing to get everybody plugged in and agreeing to orchestrate experiences by it. And then it's another thing altogether to get everybody using the same language and taxonomies to integrate those experiences too. So it's that orchestration function that I think a lot of organizations are actively innovating towards right now. And I'm hearing Alex and John Hankey's initial kind of, hey, there's an orchestration function starting, and Jonathan, I think I'm hearing you talk in terms of a specific kind of awareness of journey mapping that is working towards an end-to-end shared vision in state. So
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're all part of the same evolution that's happening.
Yeah. One thing that's worth noting is when I hear when you think about where you can really nail this, it's a very small organizational level. If you think about Microsoft, we're huge. And so we have tons of people involved in these very complicated systems that we're building. And if you think about like startups, they're the ones that can really do that. But what you see is as these startups either get purchased by larger companies or they just grow. In areas of other companies that I've heard the stories of, they just grew and suddenly the silos start to crystallize. It's really something that you have to watch. From my perspective, you have to watch with large organizations. And then since we came in as a large organization to this concept, essentially, we have to figure out how to break down those silos and create that communication across teams.
Yeah. The way we've been positioning it with a lot of clients is as orchestration between silos. We know that actually destroying or blowing up silos is unlikely, but we can create, for example, shared artifacts like a master content model, a semantic model, a shared journey. At Cisco, this idea of the universal moments that matter matrix. These are shared artifacts that teams can universally agree, let's use this to create customer experiences against. And then that way there's bridges that we can build wherever we can. So teams aren't just creating experiences in a vacuum, but there's some standards. It would be like trying to create music without having a shared sense of music theory or how notes work, or anything. It was just everybody's doing improvisational jazz, and at some point it becomes a cacophony in a giant organization. But if there's some things we're working against, we can create some music together to create harmonies for customers, and people can independently at the edge create their content and their experience, but have shared things they're plugging into, like the tagging and the content structures and that kind of thing.
To listen in on the full roundtable conversation and others, plus get access to more exclusive insight about omnichannel customer experiences, join the content order for free at simpleA.com.